Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to The Medium by Design. Merry Christmas. This is a very special edition of messages from my favorite family members. This is very personal and something that I did notice when people are sharing what they know and sharing wisdom in these last couple of years. I feel it's appropriate, because this is what I do for my life, to share with you the personal mediumship experiences that I have and visitations that I have. So if you've watched my other videos, you know that I write from many, many levels of spirit. But this one is going to be very heartfelt because these are my family members. And I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks. I've been hesitating, but I thought it is Christmas week. There are people in our families that have passed on, and I think it's okay to honor them. It's okay to shed a few tears, but this first message is probably going to leave you hysterical laughing, which this is what it did to me. And I haven't read it again yet. I haven't read it in a while. This is from 2009, when I like to call Josephine the me of her generation. She was 70 years old, and she passed suddenly, and she'll tell us why in a second in the message. And she's very, very funny. Now, the backstory is that the day of her funeral and the church service, we are a Catholic family, so some of us still have church services in Catholic churches. So that day, when I was sitting in the church, I had my pad. I used to walk around with a legal size yellow pad in case I ever had to write a message. And so I brought that pad with me, and I sat, a little bit towards the back of the church, and she was there. And she had a lot to say to us and to her family. So, but the beginning is really funny. So here we go. I'm just going to jump into her message. This is my second cousin, Josephine. And let's see how you can receive this message. So I was just sitting in the pew, and I just said, Josephine, we're here to honor your life and show respect. I know some of us are in shock over your swift passing. I sit here open and ready to hear anything you'd like to share with me and your family. So that's it. I just opened the door, and this is what she wanted to share. What a trip. Who knew that a little pain, a fall, and a short stay at the hospital would lead to this? I have to say that although I wasn't quite ready, there was a lot on this earth I was tired of seeing. You and I know what is real and how crazy man has manipulated others and the environment. It really did upset me what people were doing and saying that absolutely made no sense. Now, this is from 2009. Look at how it's already a timeless message about current times. More and more, it seemed like nobody cared about what really matters, even me. I could have shown much more gratitude and been a little gentler on others. I know some would say my attitudes and beliefs were different, even strange. Strange, like I would think she was strange, right? But I did have my own ideas. Now, we're in the church. It was a warm day. I forgot what month it was, but it was warm in New Jersey, and there's sirens outside. So I didn't know the area of where this church was at. It turns out the fire station was right across the street. So right here in the beginning of the message, the sirens go off. And she goes, is this a Mercury retrograde? I'm telling you, most of what we do when alive really is a joke. Even our rituals seem funny now. My mother was very religious and followed many of the oldest Catholic Italian traditions. Although I love and respect my mother more than life itself, I had to find my own truth and develop my own style. I did have my own interests and loves. My independent streak would sometimes get on the nerves of many of our clan. So you see, you guys don't know me really personally, but that she has the same energy I have. People didn't understand us. She spoke her truth. She knew things that the rest of the family didn't know. So we're very, very similar. And that's one of the reasons that I love her, because she was trying to bring in something different to her line in the family. The bottom line truth is that I loved humanity and hoped with all my heart the world would be a more loving place. I felt that level of love when I was in Italy. That life I shared in Italy was, for me, the most treasured time. Now, already, the second round of sirens are outside. You can hear the fire trucks outside. And she says, "Do you believe this? Can't I have a moment of peace?" As for my family, how could I ask for anything more? My daughter, a true princess, beauty and strength, more strength than I have, although I may take some credit. My beautiful grandchildren that I had the blessing to see come into the world and begin to develop their own powerful personalities. They truly are beauty in action. She only had one child, who is another Aries like me, and a fabulous, brilliant woman. And then she had a couple of kids too. Well, I don't know how many kids she had. I think she had two, and then her husband had two also. Not that that matters, but please don't drag any of this nonsense on too long. Get back to business and sharing time with each other, with who you love. We, Tessie, Teresa, and me, were really the powerful three, living really like sisters than cousins. I am sorry to break up the team, but I am and will be with you always. Now let me just give you some backstory. There's a big string of cousins that my father's part of, right? And Tessie was the oldest. Then my Aunt Teresa was a little younger, and then my father is a little younger, and then Josephine, she was a little younger. So, and the three, Tessie, Teresa, and Josephine, they were like sisters. They were really, really tight. And so it was very shocking, especially for those two. It was just one of those moments. So she continues. They had started the communion, so then I took a little break, and then I said, okay, anything else you'd like to share? And then she says, these events can be a little morbid. I would have liked a little more celebration of my life. I did like what the priest said about my history, education, and involvements. Hearing it said by someone else somehow seems very validating. I really do hope I touched people in some way that matters. Of course, I wish I did more in a bigger way, but there will be many others to show people the truth. There is still so much humanity does not know and understand. So, another timeless piece, right? She was a humanitarian, and she worked for Whole Foods. She was a really, really good cook. And I'm going to tell you something that happened this year. Credit to my cousin Carol for doing something really cool for all the family. I will continue to watch and guide as you want me to. After all, now I can really see what's going on. All right, then they played the Ave Maria, which was over the top. You see, it's so strange to me that I can remember that service like it was yesterday. We forget things we did yesterday, right? And this is now, 12 years ago? And I still remember it and have emotions about it. Crazy. All right, so now, you got to picture this huge Catholic church, right? Very dramatic. And then they start playing the Ave Maria. So she says, now that's a beautiful song. Oh, the music that I enjoyed. That is another thing that I believe Italians have a corner on the market. Opera. What an exquisite way of expression. The love and beauty of sound. She was very, very traditional in music. She loved opera. Her and her husband knew Pavarotti, which is incredible to me. I wish I was close to them at that time. I would have flown to Italy and got to meet him myself. So that was really cool. And then let's see. Then another family member got up to speak after the Ave Maria, and then she says, I love this man. He really proved to me what family and devotion really means. I never believed anyone was good enough for my Anna. This is my cousin's husband that went up to speak. And then Basil, his name is Basil, proved me wrong. He and the family they created together is more than I ever believed Anna would achieve. They created so much love with family that I was honored to be a part of. Great blessings to all my family, and always keep the love alive. All right, so I started with her because she was the first. She was an initiator to my family messages, because up until then, only my parents really knew what I did. I didn't really talk to many people in my family because, just like she said, if she shared her truth, she usually got, comments or judgment from others. And that's a thing that we live with. That's a very annoying thing about being connected to spirit and sharing, that that sometimes has us hold back. So now I want to move on to my Aunt Teresa. Now, my Aunt Teresa was my godmother. She was cousins with Josephine. And she died in she died in 2014, I think. Let's see. Give me a second. Okay, I just took a second to pull up the first message from my aunt. I've written from her so many times, and I don't want to read every single message, but I want to find the ones that I think were pertinent as I lead up to this year and what happened this year. So, again, she died in, I believe it was August 2014, I believe it was the same week to 10 days from Robin Williams. And so I also have messages from Robin Williams that I haven't shared with you guys yet, but it was so interesting that she meets up with Robin Williams on the other side. And there were so many interesting things that happened with my aunt and I guess people she connected to. But this is the first message because I was still in shock. She died really suddenly, even more so than Josephine. And she was in great health as far as we knew. She was so happy. It was just a real shock. So I start out, her nickname was Tree. So said, Tree, to say your passing was a shock and leaves a void sounds cliche, but is so painfully true. I find myself thinking about you and feeling like it's a dream, that it really didn't happen. I want to hear your voice and tell me your travel plans. Actually, I want you to tell me anything. What can you say to alleviate this void? What wisdom do I need to hear this morning? So this is how desperate I was to hear her, right? Because we spoke. Let me give you a little bit of backstory. It was let's see, that was 2009, and Josephine was 2009 and Teresa was 2014. But it was before 2009, a couple of years, that my aunt was having a lot of trouble with her hips. And she was afraid of surgery. She didn't want to do anything, but she was getting to the point that she couldn't walk. And her friends gave her, she has a lot of friends. So her friends gave her an ultimatum. Either get new hips or you're getting a wheelchair. Well, my aunt was a Scorpio. And she had a lot of pride. There was no way they were going to be pushing her around in a chair. So that pushed her off the edge, and she got her surgery, and she had no pain. She called me to get her mind prepped before the surgery, which is a whole nother story in itself, and she had phenomenal success. So after that surgery and her pain was gone, which she had for many years, her life took off. She started traveling, doing cruises with her best friend. It was just incredible. And when you looked at her face, she lost 15 years. She completely rejuvenated after that surgery. It was a miracle. I saw her after the surgery, and I'm telling you, her face got younger. She had a miracle. She was a walking miracle. She looked phenomenal from that time until she died. She was happy, that was the biggest thing, right? Okay, so you got a little background about that. After Josephine died, and I wrote that message at the funeral, I got to read that message at my cousin's house, because that's where the dinner was and the celebration of life. So I told my cousin, I just wrote from your mom at the church. And my cousin, of course, she's open because she had her mom. So my cousin, had a pretty strong sense of who I was. So then she had this beautiful area she had a beautiful property. And it really felt like we were on Dynasty, actually. Her house and the property had that, not as big as the show Dynasty, not that mansion, but it had that feeling outside. There was all beauty around, beautiful seating. It was just a really great vibe at that house. So she had some seating set up, and she just made an announcement, because again, I'm not selling this stuff. If you don't believe it, that's fine. You can go somewhere else, find something you like. And that's how I was even back then. She just said, if anybody's interested, Salvatore has a message from my mom. You can go sit over there. And that's what we did. There were, 10 or 12 of us. It was a beautiful sunny day. It was a pristine day. I'm telling you, it was a really, and the energy was perfect. So I read the message from Josephine that I just shared here. And it was so real for the family that listened. And her husband, Josephine's husband, was there. And he screamed, "Oh my God, that's my Joe." And then he screamed at me and he said, "Why didn't anybody tell me what you do?" Well, I was in the closet back then. So not everybody knew in the family what I did, right? So that was a turning point for me and some in my family, including my Aunt Teresa. So from that moment on, my Aunt Teresa, until her death, got closer and closer and closer because she loved that I had this connection. And she kept pushing me. She kept telling me, "You've got to write books. You've got to write books," which hopefully, maybe that'll come or not. So I'm telling you, this message today, these messages, this is very, very personal. These are real transitions that people went through. I don't have to make this up. I don't have to lie. This is what happened, and these are the messages I got. So this is the first one from Teresa in 2014 when I was really broken. I was staying in Colorado for the summer in the RV. I was with really good friends, and I was shattered. Seriously. So here's what she had to say. "Salvatore, what can I say? Things happen. Sometimes suddenly, sometimes by surprise. No one could be more surprised than me. After all, it was my life." I love the sense of humor. I just can't get over, because this is not what you expect, right? This is not what I expected. I'm crying and she's laughing. I can't imagine how I would feel if it were the other way around and you were to leave. I guess that shock would be overwhelming. I guess I would be leaning on my friends for support. You will find your way, your niche. You will also find happiness. You are naturally funny, an upbeat guy who lights up a room or conversation. You're interesting, smart, good-looking, and still have many years of joy to experience, much like I did. I would continue what you are doing, traveling, exploring, finishing up loose ends and projects, but I would also be ready for anything. Your life truly does need to take off. It is your time to express, talk, share, and show the world what you are made of and make a difference. Both Robin, and this is what floored me, both Robin Williams and I have discussed you and believe you have a bit of both of us inside you. Okay, first of all, that's true, because we are all part of all that is. So yes, that we can have traits of many other souls. That's a fact. But the fact that she hooks up with Robin Williams, and then they're watching. I mean, it's just this is the funny side of this work. Yes, I have to deal with a lot of grief, and you can see in my videos I get very emotional. But some of it is so funny. And this was one of those. So then Robin steps in, and Robin says, "Yes, you have quite the mind and heart. You care and love others even more than me. What you need are the outlets to make the difference. You'll find them. They have to be right for you. Above all things, helping others must come from the heart. You must know it's what you have to do. You can't fake it or push it. Don't feel bad in the quiet times. These are your times, without obligation to do anything for anyone. Believe me, everyone wished they had more time to themselves. You see it. Every day they run. People in general run. Charge into the day." He was very dramatic. And of course, I'm not really as dramatic as he is as far as expression. He's standing, I could see him standing there, and he got very emphatic and very dramatic. And he's like, "Charge into the day." And for what? You see, most of what we do are menial tasks. The key is to be open to what those tasks can bring. What people will you meet? Like yesterday with the old man on the motorcycle. Sudden, spontaneous, oh yeah, I forgot about this. Sudden, spontaneous, pleasant, a natural flow not made by you. Try to stay cool and let it all happen. Just keep taking care of the small stuff. Get yourself ready for anything. Take care of yourself. Okay, so this tells me that they're always watching us, right? They know what's going on. The day before this is in Colorado, I met an older man on a motorcycle, and that summer I had gone to take the class to get my license on the motorcycle, because I used to ride when I was younger, and my friends in Colorado, they have motorcycles, and they kind of got me inspired. It was a beautiful, through a very, very grieving time, there was some light. So I got back on the motorcycle. It was kind of cool. So he saw me do that. And the man on the motorcycle, the older man, he just started talking to me out of the blue. It was just a beautiful moment. You know, it just happens a lot with me. Okay, so now I know there's another one that I read at the restaurant after her service. So give me a second. Let me pull that up. Okay, so I wrote again before my aunt's service. I had gotten a call from when she passed. My cousin had called me and to give me the news. And this is interesting, because this also happened in 2021. I'm leading up to that, as we're going to get to that. So this was again 2014, and this was after she passed, and this was the big message that she gave me, that I actually read after her service at the restaurant where our family was. Now, at this time, there were still many people at that service, friends and family, who did not know who I was, that I was still in the closet. And this is years after the message from Josephine. So I still was not known for this work in my family. So this is a very interesting, slow-moving evolution with the family. And this is why I don't live near the family, and I'm not really connected to the family, because what I do is out of the box, and I want to be with the people that support that, which is another reason why I'm on YouTube, because I want the people that love this work to find me. Those are the people I want to touch. There's no reason, and this goes for all of you, if people don't respect you and they don't understand you and they don't want to be a positive influence in your life, then this is the time. Let them go. There's no reason for debate or arguing or I'm right, you're wrong. There's none of that. This is what it is, and this is what I do. Take it or leave it. Family or not. That's where I'm at. And this is where I think this is a healthy place to be, finally, after all these years. So this is the intro for this one is kind of long. And I just talked about getting closer to my aunt, which I just finished telling you. After her surgery and after Josephine died, we got closer and closer. And we then took this amazing trip. There were a couple of big things that happened. 2007, when she was in her big travel mode with her best friend, she gave me her house to stay in for a month and her car. and I had had a major car accident, which I haven't done a video on yet, in 2007. I don't even know how I got out of the car, really, how I walked away, but another miracle in my own life, which I'll share that later, another time. But anyway, I recuperated in her house. I spent the summer in New Jersey. It was really lovely, and then I surprised her, and I fixed everything in her house, cleaned up multiple rooms, had a big garage sale, emptied her. She was a bit of a hoarder, so it's no secret. Her basement was filled. Her garage was filled. So when she went out, when she left for that trip, her son immediately came to the house and said, "Okay, what are you going to do?" And so that was our little secret. We're gonna shock your mother. So that was a very, very powerful summer. Even though I had this major car accident, somehow we continued on and had this huge, huge month, surprising my aunt when she got back. So in 2009, then, while I was going through the financial crash, which I have not spoken publicly too much about either, and really lost everything in 2009, and never even tried to recoup, never tried to repeat what I had, just literally let go of everything I thought life was supposed to be. And big, big turning point in 2009. So while I'm down in the dumps in 2009, living in a room, with nothing, and I was kind of sad, My aunt and my RV, my motorhome, was sitting at somebody's house in the desert, just sitting there getting wind blown and sun blown, and I just prayed, and this is the power of asking the universe, especially when you surrender, right, to that power. I said, I really want to get back on the road. This was summer 2009. It was like the end of May 2009. I said, I want my motorhome. I want to be on the road. I don't want to sit here. I was just, but I had no money. I literally had nothing. I could have been homeless. That's the bottom of the barrel that I was. So within a week, my Aunt Teresa calls and says, "Oh, my friend and I, we're gonna take the train across the country. Would you pick us up in I think the train goes to Maricopa, the city of Maricopa in Arizona. Would you pick us up in the RV and take us back across the country?" And I had just prayed for that I get back on the roads. And they're like, it's all on us, right? So it was very, very exciting time. So exciting while I was still losing everything. It's very hard to put into words. That's why I haven't done a video about it yet, because there was so many layers that I had to understand. But I will tell you, on one of the Jesus messages, I think I referred to 2009 and what Jesus told me I did to my nervous system by getting so failure mindset of what I was going through and beating myself up. And he warned me that by doing that, you hurt your nervous system. And it took Jesus years to repair my system and get me back to where I was before the crash. And that's a very interesting experience too that I had. And Jesus was with me through the whole time. So, but what the message was about that was, no matter what you're going through, do not beat yourself up. Do not feel like you're a failure. Don't let your mind go there. And my father warned me about that. He said, don't let this get into your mind because it'll destroy you. And he was right. I really went pretty far down. So this is all going on while I got to get my motorhome, from the desert and get it ready for the road. So it was just an incredible, full of surprises summer. So then her and a girlfriend came out. I picked them up, and we got on the road. And there's some funny thing. I can't tell you everything. I'd be here forever. But there was some very funny things that happened on the road, and I should really do a video about that trip because there's some really, really funny stuff. Okay. So again, at this time, I'm still in grief. I'm still, when this is now follow the timeline. This is not 2009, the trip that I just finished talking about. This is back up to 2014 when she's gone. So I'm still not in good emotional shape here. So I invite Teresa in, Tree, to share her wisdom, insights, and anything she wanted to share with me at that time. Well, well, Salvatore, I could not have planned this talk. I really don't believe I didn't see this coming. So she's talking about her passing. I have to say, I did have some amazing times. You all know how I lived for my friends. But more than that, I lived to share in everything that my friends were going through. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Of course, it was difficult at times to watch what some of my dearest, closest friends were going through, and even to lose many over the years. But this commitment, this strong bond that I had with each one, could never keep me away. If there is one lesson I learned, but there are many, it was that being there with others was what really mattered in any capacity. Even if I wasn't able to resolve anything, I wanted them to know that I really cared. She did live for her friends. When any friend fell down in life for any reason, Teresa was the first on the scene. She was also the first to call everybody up and tell them what was going on in case they wanted to be supportive. That was my aunt's role in the family. She kept everybody. She didn't keep us communicating with each other, but she let us know where we each were at any given time. She just had a handle on everybody. On a lighter note, my friends brought me the most joy I could ever have hoped or imagined. The laughs, the tears, the crazy cockamamie games, all of it. I would not have changed a thing. Then, when it was my turn to go through some challenging times, they would rally for me, and I could not have gotten through without them. If there is something I want to leave you, it would be to cherish the bonds you have, for you know how fragile they are. Our time can be up before we know it. I guess I could say that some of the best times of my life were in these last few years. This is what I tried to tell you guys. After having my hips replaced, my life literally took off, and for the better. I could not have fathomed traveling that much before the surgery, and really didn't know I would go that far after surgery. Having Beverly as my confidant and travel adventurer made me feel I was back in my college days. Beverly was her best friend. Beverly is still alive. She was unbelievable. Beverly came on that trip with the RV. This woman is a powerhouse. She learned how to do everything on my RV. She learned how to hook up the car, disconnect. This was unbelievable. The trip was amazing with Beverly. She was really something. And I just loved the whole thing with her. She really raised us all up. It was really fabulous. I felt this was what my life was supposed to be, always looking for the next adventure, seeing things for the first time with someone you know you will only have joy with. That's how it was. And that's true, because that's how Beverly is. It's an adventure and always positive surprises. Now I have to share that I am also sorry. I know that I was not always the easiest to get along with, but I hope the laughs made up for some of my more difficult moments. Well, she was a little difficult. I'm not going to get into that. You, Salvatore, let's get back to me. She's talking about me now. You, Salvatore, have some great gifts. Gifts I